So the Las Vegas Raiders just fired Antonio Pierce and hired Deion Sanders to take over as head coach, completely foregoing all of the NFL rules about interviewing other head coaches for the position, just so that he can draft his son Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders and coach him to multiple Super Bowls with the Las Vegas Raiders. Except that didn't actually happen, and it actually can't happen, and I'm going to explain to you why. Despite what everybody wants you to believe, from all of the insiders to the podcasters like myself, there is one major flaw in this idea of Deion Sanders becoming the head coach next year and drafting his son Shedeur Sanders. Even though I myself was the first one to let you know from my insider information with the Las Vegas Raiders that Mark Davis has an idea in his head of how great it would be to get Deion Sanders as the head coach and his son Shedeur Sanders as the franchise quarterback. But here's the problem. Even if Mark Davis wants to do that, it is highly improbable, and let me explain to you why that is. Number one, you would have to fire Antonio Pierce after the season and start beginning the interview process for other head coaches. And you have to, according to the Rooney Rule, interview more than one minority head coach, even if you're intending on hiring a black head coach like Deion Sanders. Then you would have to hire him before the draft. Now, what's going to happen if the Raiders end up winning one or two games when there are 6 teams right now all vying for that number 1 draft pick so that they can draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward? Then the Raiders are in a real pickle because you've went and fired Antonio Pierce. You've hired his replacement in Deion Sanders, and Deion Sanders doesn't end up drafting his son Shedeur Sanders. The whole reason why Deion Sanders would want to come to the NFL is only if he could actually coach his son further in his career in the NFL. But this is a big if, because once he takes the job with the Raiders, there's no guarantee that the Raiders would actually get Shedeur Sanders if we are pick number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is very possible because there are a couple of games coming up that the Raiders could actually win and completely knock us out of getting Shedeur Sanders in that draft lottery. There's another issue that we also have to contend with, and that is that Deion Sanders himself has said in the past that he is not built for coaching in the NFL. He is better at the collegiate level. And even though his sons are going to the NFL, they're not going to be there next year. He still has some primetime recruits that are coming in to replace his son Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. He has a fantastic wide receiver who just announced that he is going to enter the transfer portal and transfer over to Colorado. They're calling this dude the baby Terrell Owens because he's built like him, plays like him. He's a beast. They also got a 5-star quarterback recruit who's probably going to have a better career than Shedeur Sanders, also committed to Colorado. So right now, Deion Sanders has been able to turn this team from a losing embarrassment of a college football team into a contender for the playoffs. Now, I know that they're probably not going to make the playoffs now with their most recent loss, but next year, he's going to have a 5-star recruit quarterback. He's going to have a 5-star recruit wide receiver replacing Travis Hunter. And he is still building up this team. He has a very young team that he can continue to build and make that playoffs and become one of the greatest coaches at the University of Colorado that they've ever had. That's his opportunity. If he comes to the Raiders, there's no guarantee that he would even end up with Shedeur Sanders as his quarterback. And so Shedeur could end up going to another team. And then what happens if he's not able to turn the Raiders around and ends up getting fired in 1 or 2 seasons like Antonio Pierce? Now he's back to square one, trying to find his way back into college. And this is a big risk for Deion Sanders. I've made videos about it, the interview with him and Ice Cube playing back and forth about, oh boy, how would it be to go and coach your son in the NFL, especially if he's a Raider? You know what I'm saying? But I think that this is right now, it's just a bunch of cap. They're just having fun with it because they know everybody is talking about it. All the insiders are now talking about it. Again, I can guarantee you that straight from my source, we were the first one to report it here with the Raider D podcast. And if you like getting firsthand information instead of secondhand information 2 months later, which now all of the YouTube podcasters are jumping on, despite the fact that we put our video out 2 months, I'll show you right here. I can guarantee you according to what my source told me, this is something that Mark Davis has mentioned would be really cool. Not that they're actually going to be able to go out and do it and accomplish it. And I said, categorically, this would be a disaster for the Raiders. Let me explain why. Because if Deion Sanders is the head coach and Shedeur Sanders is the franchise quarterback, what if Shedeur Sanders turns out to be a first-round bust, like so many other first-round busts? Daniel Jones, perfect example of the New York Giants. What if Shedeur turns into a Daniel Jones? Then what do you do? Because if you, as the general manager, trade away the head coach's son, then you're going to piss off the head coach. And the head coach is always going to play favorites to his son Shedeur over Aiden O'Connell, who may end up being better, or another quarterback who may end up being better than him, but they never get a chance because he's going to continuously baby his son. This is a horrible idea. It's not going to happen. The likelihood of it happening is extremely low. And so I just wanted to set the record straight. Again, even though we were the first one to report on this, that this is in Mark Davis's mind right now of something that he would like to do, something he thinks would be cool, we have calmer heads in the building, and I don't think that Tom Brady is going to be on board with such a disastrous plan for the Las Vegas Raiders because he just invested millions of dollars into this organization. So hopefully his calmer mind will go to Mark Davis and be like, yeah, look, that's not a good idea. There's better coaches out there who are proven in the NFL right now who do not have a family connection to your franchise quarterback if we even end up getting Shedeur Sanders. Interesting point here is, will Aiden O'Connell finish out this season strong? Because the showing that he was able to put up against KC was quite impressive. If he can build on that, should the Raiders go and get Travis Hunter instead of a quarterback this year and see what the quarterback market is for next year? Or should we get to Terrio McMillan, also another fantastic franchise wide receiver, number one? Let me know down in the comments. Also, guys, make sure that you're getting all your gear down in our shopping cart. We've got it all. We have hooked up with Fanatics. They have great deals over there. Right now, they have like 20% off of almost everything in the store. You can just click on the shopping cart or go down into the description. All of those items will pop up, and they have more there as well, and it helps to support the channel. So get your Raiders gear solely from us. Let's go, Raiders.